Welcome to Through the Table Podcast with Brian, JL, Tom, Rick, and Russ.
Yes,
Jesus.
That's awesome. Teen Wolf, everybody.
Holy.
Took him a few minutes to get back into form.
Clearly it wasn't a Comus shower.
Oh man, that was good.
Go ahead, Tom. Start with your Rumble.
I mean,
You're up next. 2 minutes, go.
Oh, no.
Apparently that's how it was going in the back. No one knew where they were changing numbers left and right during the Rumble.
And you know what's the best part during the women's rumble? So I had my intern stay up for a little bit because it's on a Saturday, so we got to see some of it.
Yeah.
He turns to me. We're like number 12 or something for the women's rumble. He turns to me and goes, "That wasn't 2 minutes." I was like, "No, it wasn't."
oh man, that yeah.
Now-
My daughter said the same thing. Both my kids were up, and they were just like, "So is this is 2 minutes?" I'm like, I thought it was. It was just like, holy crap! They didn't give it. That rumble was like 37 minutes long.
There was one that was 45 seconds. 45 it had to be.
Before we continue with the Royal Rumble, what's kind of the hours removed from initially watching it? Because a lot of times when Royal Rumble exclusively, you watch it and I would say most likely enjoy it, and then a couple hours later, then you think about it a little more, because there's a lot of people that were at the event, a lot of people that watched the event liked it, and then the next day, I'd
like to field this one.
Wait, before you say, I just want to say, this was literally the first Royal Rumble that I watched that I didn't enjoy.
Yes.
Not even a little. Like, I even enjoyed Thunderdome, no fans Royal Rumble. I even enjoyed that. This was the first Royal Rumble that I've ever watched. Out of what? This was the 35th one, 36th,
Something like that.
It's the first one I didn't enjoy at all.
And
I
Russ,
thought the undercard was great. I had no problem with the undercard.
couple of matches, I'll get to that.
All right.
Yeah, there were a couple that I didn't see a need for.
Russ, to your point, so I do the same thing. Like, I'll watch the pay-per-view and then I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty good. And then the next day I'll start thinking about it. I'm like, all right, that kind of got screwed up. Yep, that was kind of weird. And you start thinking, this one, like to Rick's point, I didn't enjoy it. I'll go off on this in a moment, but I spent the next day thinking, wow, it might have actually been worse than I thought it was. I thought this was by far the worst Royal Rumble. And it showed how thin the roster is. I thought the 94, 95 Rumble, when they had like 5 people on the roster, was better filled out and more of a who could possibly win this.
Well, on that note, though, like before the Royal Rumble, I was like, who could possibly win? And in the last like 5 or 6 people, I thought that any of those people could possibly win. Like, in where years past, it was just kind of like, okay, Roman Reigns is going to win, or this person's going to win.
Once Brock Lesnar lost his match,
second he lost,
I just went, okay, so Brock's coming out at 30 and winning the whole thing.
My brother texted me, and we don't text wrestling as much as we used to. And he texted me and goes, "So I guess Brock's in the Rumble now, huh?"
What's your brother's name?
Eddie.
Eddie Thomas.
but
Walked into that one.
and not only that too, but you knew that Rousey was winning the women's rumble. You
Mhm.
just knew there was
Yeah.
no surprise there. And all right, let's get into it. The women's Royal Rumble was a botch fest.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I get why now, because you had women who were speaking with each other like, okay, I'm coming in 3. Oh, cool. I'll be in at 5. Let's do this. Next thing you know, oh, I'm actually coming in 17 now.
Yep.
I'm not going to work with you. I need to go talk to these people here. So, but they would just move after move. That was just botches left and right. You had 17 of the 30 women were non-rostered women. 17.
Was it really that much?
Yeah.
One of the first.
I
one of the-
counted.
17?
17. I counted. We can go through the list.
Whoa.
17 non-rostered women out of
When
30.
it comes to the number 17, Tom knows all about that.
I do. Keeps you out of trouble.
Now there's a thing. Well, one of the first botches, I believe, is Melina.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
before that, this felt like both Royal Rumbles, the first Royal Rumbles that didn't have many replays, and I think that
They couldn't.
because there's a lot of times where there's replays, and that kind of like makes you relive a moment.
Mhm. That's true.
These two didn't have replays for one reason or another,
Yeah.
but like
Because it would highlight how moves went over.
possibly because like the second Melina, I was waiting for the replay to see if it was like she just fell off like she did accidentally or whatever,
Mhm.
but like they never went to it. They never went to anything
Yeah.
like that. So that kind
Yeah,
of
that was strange.
that kind of like you're used to a way the Royal Rumble goes with like the replays and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
Kevin Dunn didn't do it this time, which was
No.
surprising.
I was highly disappointed. I like I said, 17 out of the 30 women were non-rostered. That's a problem. That is a huge problem when you only have 13 rostered women. No Bailey, no Asuka,
Yeah. That
no
was weird.
Alexa Bliss.
Mhm. And
17.
the biggest thing with them was you could tell most of them didn't even try to work out or get ready for it.
Yeah.
It was awful. They were just so rusty and
Terrible.
everything, you could tell.
Now, I'm going to give a compliment here. I thought Michelle McCool looked fantastic. I thought she worked really well. I've seen her at live events back when she was working full time, and she was atrocious.
Mhm.
So my thing with that, right, is it seems like that's one of the formulas that they do every year, where there's the one, like the I guess the quote unquote legend, or what, whatever, Divas era or whatever
Mhm,
you would call it. They have like a great showing in the Rumble. Then they'll do like, they have like a little Mania run or whatever. I think was it like Beth Phoenix did it a couple of years ago when
Yeah.
she
Right.
busted her
Yep.
head open, but
Mhm,
still
mhm.
was in the Rumble for like another 45 minutes. Like,
Right. Yeah.
and then I think she had a WrestleMania moment, I believe, that year and stuff like that. So
I think. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just say, I think that's like maybe what they're setting up for, because it just seems like I said, it seems like pretty formulaic that they do it pretty much every year.
I think a compliment should be thrown to Mickey James and the way they dealt with her.
100%.
I felt that
100%.
whole thing, who she eliminated, and
Yeah.
who she was eliminated by, and
Mhm.
how much time she was in the ring. I think that all worked out pretty good.
Agreed.
They didn't screw it all up.
That's one of the
Yeah.
things they did right in that Rumble.
Yeah. There was a lot that was just thrown together. And, we talked about it a few weeks ago, and you can tell since Pat Patterson passed, it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. And this one, like I said, you went into the start knowing that Rousey was showing up because it was the worst kept secret, and you knew she was winning. The only question was what other surprises were there?
Mhm.
And
Right.
there really wasn't, other than,
No, not really.
and
Cameron,
yes.
I mean,
Alicia Fox
Alicia
again.
Fox, yeah.
right? It's like, what the?
Yep.
And they had
I guess TJ Wilson has been out, and he usually produces and does all this stuff with all the women's matches. And he's been frustrated because I guess Vince has been shooting down almost all of his ideas.
well,
So
that's
he's
good.
been on leave for about a month. And in that month, the women's division has gone way downhill. Because now it's just Molly Holly running everything by herself.
Right. And like think about that too. It's like I totally forgot Charlotte was like champion on
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and then she's in the Rumble. No, she has no program going into the Rumble.
Nope.
It's like, granted,
No
I don't
match, nothing. Even
you
they
know, we
threw
don't-
Dewdrop at Becky Lynch. We'll get to
Yeah.
that, the undercard later.
And it was weird to me. Like, and then you have her as the one of the last one. You know, the final two.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, you know, I guess cool. But I mean, I feel like why would you have Rousey and Charlotte interact if they're not going? You know what I mean? Like obviously the money match, quote unquote money match, is Rousey Becky.
But they're
Well, I'll
not
tell you
doing
why
that
they did
this
that.
year.
What's up?
I feel like they did that to see what the crowd reaction was in case they needed to go a different direction.
And it's because it's like, does the audience care about either of those matches at this point?
Mm-mm.
I'd have to say no.
Well, what they've got planned out is Charlotte this year and Becky next year at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
With her.
Okay.
That's what I guess she signed through next WrestleMania, and those are the two matches. They basically said that's what we're doing.
I mean, I guess that's great. You know, I do feel like that was, you know, especially where they announced it, you know, it's all over social media. It's tonight on SmackDown, she's going to give her answer. It's like, well,
Yep.
I mean,
And if she's if she's staying on SmackDown because Fox wants her, then you know what's happening there.
right.
USA is getting the crap end of the stick.
They always do.
They really do.
And after Elimination Chamber, supposedly Brock's going back to SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Fox again. So Raw gets another short end.
Well, it must be whatever contract's ending first. They probably have a little more time with USA.
What they signed, 5 years with Fox? I don't know
think
what
so,
the
yeah.
I don't remember what the USA deal was. I can't recall. And they're on year 3 for Fox now, I believe.
Mhm.
So USA might have less time. I know the USA lost a ton of money this year, which we'll get into their WWE earnings later. They said WWE on USA and Peacock, they lost like $1.9 billion on everything this
damn.
year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot
Complete
to cover
side
tonight.
note with the Fox deal, and even with the USA deal, NBC Peacock deal, you'd think that the performers would be on shows besides like college football, like
Mhm.
someone would be on like The Masked Singer
Sure.
or something like that, or maybe someone hosts Saturday Night Live or something like that. That hasn't happened.
They should do that.
But the thing is, too, is who do they have that could host Saturday Night Live at this point? You know what I mean? Like,
No one's got
Yeah,
the
well,
charisma.
there's a couple. I mean, Roman Reigns could probably do it.
I don't know.
It
It doesn't seem like the character would work for that.
right. Yeah, I
They should
don't
have
know.
Riddle do it.
Speaking of Riddle, wasn't he supposed to win the men's Royal Rumble? Wasn't that
There was a
the talk?
rumor that
And then people have been saying that wasn't true
Yeah.
at the same time. So who knows which one's right?
So
it'd
let's
be
get-
interesting if he did.
Yeah,
let's
I would have
get
been
to the
okay
men's-
with that.
I want to discuss the men's Rumble now,
Okay,
if you guys don't mind.
sure.
So I obviously wasn't on the pod last week, but I spent the week listening to said pod because, that's what I do.
Unlike someone else on the pod.
Who's never on the pod. But I listened to the segment where you guys were talking about all these possible surprises. Who's going to show up for the men's Rumble? Oh my God, there's so many people that could be popping up. This is going to be
Mhm.
great. Not a freaking person showed up.
Nope.
There wasn't a single surprise.
Not
No
really.
surprises. None. None. You can't say Lesnar was a surprise, as we've all said. The second he lost, it was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, all right.
Right.
Now we
Mhm.
know who's winning.
Mhm.
You can't say Drew McIntyre was a surprise.
No, he's
I
with
mean,
the company. It's just in quotes
Yeah.
on leave, but he comes back. No shock there, right?
I mean, maybe Shane, who booked himself into a dismissal.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Anything can happen in the WWE.
Well, Shane wanted to be the second to last one left in the Rumble.
That's wild.
Mhm.
I think it's funny because like when there was the last few weeks we've been talking about Triple H, and it's just like, oh man, could he get fired? Nah, he can't get fired. He's family, and it's like, well, it's the shaming man's
He
out
sure
the door.
can.
Like, I was like, oh no,
Mhm.
oh
yeah.
my goodness. I was
You
laughing.
fire her own son. No one's off limits.
Yeah. Nobody. Nick Khan's just sitting there laughing.
Well, Shane's been gone before too, so
Yeah.
there's a history.
So we talked about how, the women's rumble, there was 17 unrostered women. In the men's rumble, it was the majority were mid to low card workers that you knew didn't have a chance in hell of winning.
No.
Rumbles in the past, you had your bushwhacker Lukes and bushwhacker Butches showing up where you knew weren't going to win.
Sure.
But whatever, it was what
But it was still
was.
fun to see how long they would last because you knew it wasn't going to be
Yeah.
long and who's going to kill them.
It rounded out the roster, but at least you had
Yeah.
a bunch of guys in there too, where you were like, oh, this guy might actually have a chance, or hey, this guy might have a chance. This one, like Madcap Moss, you knew he didn't have a chance in hell of winning.
No.
The majority of the people who came out until they got to around number 20. So the first 19 were just like, hey, Dominic Mysterio, he's not winning.
Yeah.
And then you had like the Drew McIntyres coming out and the people like that, but it was very like predictable. I felt that there wasn't any surprise. You know what? I'm gonna give a compliment. You know what, Russ? He was amazing that night. Bad Bunny was amazing at the Royal Rumble. He did great in there. I will give him all the props in the world.
2022 Wrestler of the Year candidate right there, baby.
Yes. To be honest with you, he was the highlight of the Rumble. That's a freaking problem. If Bad Bunny, who's not a worker, who I'm sure had a few bump classes and run the rope drills here and there, is the highlight of the men's Rumble, I don't give a crap if they made $1 billion in the past year. That's a problem. Bad Bunny shouldn't be your top worker.
Right.
He'll be back.
Oh, I'm sure he will be now.
He should be.
Mhm.
He's their best worker right now.
One of them.
He got 2 T-shirts out of it. He has 2 different T-shirts
right.
on WWE Shop right now.
Yeah.
They're probably their top sellers.
Probably.
Mhm.
He has more shirts than Mustafa Ali right now.
Who?
Exactly.
It was amazing to me every time someone would come out, and I was just like, all right, okay, this is just filler. Just filler till we get to the end.
You weren't excited when Otis came out?
No.
Or Ricochet?
Johnny Knoxville, who
that was all right.
Didn't I call it? I called it last week on the pod. I said I'm gonna have him.
Yep,
and
I
he's
knew
gonna
it.
be one of my and I went, son of a bitch. Like I
said, oh, Rick's number's up. I go, it's got to be him now.
Because what it was, Sammy came out 1st, and I just went, oh, son of a bitch, I'm next, and I'm like, it's gonna be Johnny Knoxville. I was like,
that wasn't too bad.
I like how Tom got both Bella twins.
Yeah, I was going to say Brian cursed me with the Bellas. Since the Bellas are going to be yours. Yep.
And I think you got Natalia. You got the Bella twins and Natalia.
Yep.
I was like,
I didn't even
Tom.
noticed I got her.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh,
all the people Tom rags about. Boom, they're on his team.
Every single one of them. It was amazing.
God.
They didn't give as much shine to Omos as I thought they were going to. I was pleasantly surprised with that.
They realized that he's the great Khali at this point.
Yeah.
You know what
He's
I mean?
10 years from being a main eventer at WrestleMania.
He's not Andre the Giant. He's
he's just a big guy. That's all he is.
he reminds me, and it's funny because I'm watching the NHL skills competition right now. He reminds me of when Zdeno Chara played for the Lowell Lock Monsters when he was in the minor
With
leagues.
the Islanders, right?
Yep. And
Mhm.
he was tall, goofy, clumsy, could
He had
barely
no idea
skate.
what he was doing out there. Yeah.
He was always in the wrong spot.
Yep.
Like he was laughable.
Mm-hmm.
And then he became one of the greatest defensemen of all time after that. Maybe that's what happens to Omos, hopefully. But
He takes it seriously, maybe.
yeah. But right now, he's just, if he was an 8 foot whatever, he would not be on the main roster.
No, if he was just a regularly sized guy, no way.
I was very underwhelmed by the Rumble match itself. I really was. And they didn't draw out the ending a bit either. Like it was kind of quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brock. Yeah,
Mhm.
Brock's like, all right, I don't get paid by the hour, guys.
No,
Let's go.
definitely not. Right.
I was already out here once. Drew, you're going over.
They said 10 minutes. We're at 8. We're going. What?
Speaking of which, Drew McIntyre got me $150.
Nice.
Nice.
Thank you,
Very
Drew
nice.
McIntyre.
Mhm.
No, I did the rumble with the pod, and then we did and then I did one at the house with the family
Oh, nice.
as we all had COVID,
Mhm.
and my 9-year-old won both of those too. So I just argued.
Maybe
And-
that's where the bitterness comes from. You actually love the Royal Rumble, but then
Nah,
losing with your numbers.
The happiest moment that I had was Shayna Baszler's feet hit the ground just before Bianca Belair's, and I had Bianca Belair as one of the numbers.
Right.
So she got me $50 by
Oh,
being
wow, nice.
the third to last in the ring. Had she hit first, I would have gotten 0. So I got
Wow.
200 total. Thanks
that's
to that.
hilarious.
What about the Kofi elimination?
Oh, that was another botch, huh?
Kofi Botch,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was too bad. But at the same time, that was pretty ballsy. That was a pretty ballsy thing to attempt.
Yeah.
He hit
You know
it
what I
like
mean?
he
Like-
got shot. Like he
Mhm.
hit it so hard. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, he just. I mean, luckily he has that weird like sunken bird chest that he has.
Mhm.
Like it was just because he literally just hit
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
straight sternum, and
Yep.
I don't know how. I
and
mean,
it was just like whack.
he made a post on Instagram that he said he got hurt from it. He
Oh, I'm
didn't
sure
say,
he-
he didn't
yeah.
say
Sure.
what it was.
Mhm.
Like
That's
but
got to be a
he-
rib.
He definitely said he got he got
He got
injured
chucked
off
into
that.
there. It wasn't like they lightly threw him.
Oh no, he was,
Yeah.
and that was from the top rope, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
Yep.
what? That's a good. He went like 20 feet to the
At
floor,
least.
pretty much.
At least. Yep.
Right onto a guardrail.
And he
Like,
probably
on his-
did it. He probably did it a bunch of times earlier in the day too.
Nah, I bet you he didn't. I bet
Oh,
you he's like,
he said he did.
oh, did he?
He said he wanted to try it a few times to see where the good spot to land was.
I think I
He may
think
not have tried to keep the feet up, but I think he did the landing spot, like where to throw me kind of thing.
right.
So they tried it a few times. He did mention that.
I mean, that would have been cool if it happened, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's. I mean, there's only. what,
That's the problem with the camera angles. You can't hide it all the time.
Right, and not even that too. It's just, I mean, that's the first time since he started doing this. You know, so what? He's probably close to 10 years now at this point,
At least.
right?
I would say at least 10 years, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, 10 out of 11 is not a bad.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, now it opens the door for next year because now it's not a crutch on
Right.
him. Like
Mhm.
maybe he could possibly win it.
How do y'all feel about the undercard?
I didn't mind the undercard.
I thought Reigns and Rollins was a really good match.
Really good match.
Mhm.
I
My
didn't-
kid loved it.
The finish was
Yeah, the finish was a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish the finish was different, but it was.
The match was
good.
fine. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Although I'll be honest, I know I was waiting for Mox to show up because I still had hope that the Forbidden Door was going to be open at some point during the
Yeah,
night with all these
I
surprises.
never
but-
expected anyone to show.
well, once he didn't, I kind of realized there wasn't going to be anybody in the Rumble either.
If they're
And
going to
even
do
though they're
anything
not
with
related.
the Shield, I thought maybe Angle would come out because he was in town
Yeah.
where he did that replacement one time.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. But No, I thought that was a really solid match. It was
Mhm.
good storytelling.
Yeah,
Um,
they work well together.
yeah, Lesnar and Lashley was decent.
Yep.
I'm struggling
Yeah, I
with
like
the other
that one.
matches.
And there was Becky Dewdrop.
I
Mhm.
went out and shoveled.
Well, that was they were after a big match,
Yeah.
and then also the sign.
Right. The
They
sign
better
got
paying
taken down
attention to
because
the
it was lit
sign.
on fire. They had to put it out. So the crowd was preoccupied by that for a bunch of it.
Yeah, they went from women's Royal Rumble to women's title match.
Mhm.
They never do that. Usually they split it up a bit.
I mean, the match was all right. It's just there was no heat at all in it. So you didn't really
Right.
care.
Also,
And you knew who was going over automatically.
you know, and no chance whatsoever Dewdrop was winning
No.
that.
None.
Then there was the mixed tag match, or as I like to call it, the opening segment of a Wednesday night Dynamite. Because that's really what it was.
When I think about it, I think about Maurice, and it gives me a lot of memories. Memories.
Ass meat.
So, but
Yeah,
seriously,
all that.
we're getting the same match in AEW at some point when Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara take on Adam Cole and Britt Baker. That's just a guarantee. You have one couple and another couple, same as what you had at the Rumble. Same thing.
Well, instead of Ty and Sammy, you get Cody and Brandy.
Well, they did Chris Statlander and Orange with them already.
Are they
a
dating?
couple weeks ago? No.
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 Chris
Chris
Statlander's
Statlander's with what's this? The guy with the
Caleb-
K. Caleb with the K,
K
and independent
from Impact.
Yeah.
Well, I was just talking more because there was two married couples going at it at the Rumble. And
No,
I know,
I get it. Mhm.
I know you guys in the pod last week were saying that like that was actually one match you guys are looking forward to and stuff, but I thought it was very underwhelming.
It didn't deliver as much
No,
as I thought
no,
it
It
would.
didn't deliver at all, and I really
It was
thought that
it was in a bad spot in the show too.
it
It should not have been
killed,
that late in the card.
it killed whatever momentum going into the Rumble, but they had to do it that late because
Yeah.
you couldn't put the two world title matches that late because then
Right,
you knew what
right.
the outcome was going to be.
Exactly. Yeah, they kind of were hamstrung on where to put it.
Yeah. Maybe they could have waited. I don't know. That might have been a good Raw match.
Yeah, well, I think it should have been on Raw. That would have been a good one. Exactly.
That's why I made the joke that it was like a Dynamite match because
Mhm.
it wasn't like a pay-per-view type quality match in my opinion.
It's not going to sell me to buy it.
No.
Right. I think they just did it more for like, hey, Edge is probably just like, I'm winding down. Let me just do some, check
Yep.
this, tag match with my wife, stuff like that.
Well, he's got a little bit
Their
of creative
kids were in the
control.
audience for the first time ever,
Right. Mm-hmm.
so it was like a big thing for them.
So I know I know AJ's been kind of bringing that up on social media that he's been wanting to wrestle Edge. Like that's one of his things that he wants to do.
I can see it happen.
And I've heard Edge say that before too, that he wouldn't mind wrestling with AJ at some point.
Sure, why
Do
not?
it at Mania.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
it's a good Mania match.
Yeah,
Could
absolutely.
fill out a 2-night card. Why not?
I could see that. I mean, they still have 60, 2 months pretty much before 2 months before WrestleMania.
Mhm.
You could definitely start a program with AJ and Edge.
Oh, that wouldn't be too hard.
Look,
No, you could easily
It's
do
the
that.
WWE. They could do it the Friday night before.
This
Well,
is true.
they'll
too.
do it after Elimination Chamber because the Saudi show means too much to start WrestleMania stuff up.
How many matches from last year's WrestleMania were set up on the Friday night SmackDown before WrestleMania?
A couple of them actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know, which is awful. I have a fundamental issue with that.
Yeah, for Mania of all shows, you don't do that.
Big money pay-per-view, you should have matches that you are promoting for at least a month. At least a month.
You should
2
start
months,
hinting
even
at them
better.
in February. If you're
Yeah.
not all the way there, you should start laying the groundwork for it.
You got to look at a Mania at like Mike Tyson fights used to be.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you knew
Mhm.
Mike Tyson was fighting whoever it was months before the match, and they build it and hyped it
Right.
and all of that, got you excited for it.
Mhm.
Not that it matters because they're going to sell out both nights most likely in Texas,
Oh, I'm sure.
but because it's an event, I said this to my buddy the other day. Going to WrestleMania now, it's kind of like going to because he's a huge parrot head.
Mhm.
Going to WrestleMania now is kind of like going to like a Jimmy Buffett concert. It's old. It's not mainstream anymore, but man, it's a party.
Mhm.
That's what it is.